All right, you guys ready? It's 5 o'clock on the dot. Live Tuesday, May 17th, 2016. Time again for The Filter. What is The Filter? Well, we get together every week, talk about, well, we used to talk about Bitcoin, but oftentimes it gets a little more broad than that. We talk about all kinds of societal things that arise when we talk about money, the minimum wage. We've been talking about the universal basic income lately. But of course, Bitcoin always comes up. It's always salacious, always ready for the paparazzi. Bitcoin is, and we always have stuff to talk about, and we do it every week. So today's show is called the Dao of the Dao. And if you don't know what the Dao is, hopefully you will by the end of the episode. But we've got so much more to cover. We've got local news. In fact, we've got some paparazzi-worthy moments from this past week to share in local news. Also got an update on the Ubud Bitcoin economy. I ran some numbers this morning. It's pretty exciting. Still small potatoes, but bigger potatoes than it used to be. So yeah, I'll show you a graph that might just blow your mind. We've also got a Bitcoin health update. I'm gonna do a little health checkup, do a little investigating in Bitcoin is healthy or not, including a public safety announcement. So don't leave early. If you want to be safe this week, stick around for the public safety announcement regarding Bitcoin. We got an update on Satoshi. In fact, we may see Satoshi in September in Las Vegas. Anybody want to go? We got an update from Venezuela, an update on the minimum wage discussion. I don't even know if we're going to get to all of it before we get to the Dao of the Dao, which DAO meaning distributed autonomous organization. It's a brand new idea. It's science fiction-like, but science fiction is reality these days. So anyway, stick around. Let me kick things off. I'm going to share my screen with the folks at home so they can see what we see up here. Don't have to look at me any longer. By the way, I got a little bit of feedback. If you do want to ask a question, we definitely want to include everybody, but please speak up because we have to use the microphone that's on my laptop here, and it doesn't always pick up like really good comments from the room. So I'll try and remember to repeat the question, and I'll go like this. I'll touch my ear if I can't hear you, and maybe give you a little reminder. But anyway, let's make sure that you get heard. There's always smart people in the room, and we hate for you to lose out on getting heard. So, all right, the Dao of the Dao. That's today's episode. You know, we get together every week, but we're not together all the time. I know we'd like to be, but it's just not physically possible. Can only do this once a week, and when we're not together, we hang out on Twitter. Twitter's one of the places where we have a conversation online. If you look for hashtag Bitcoins in Bali, you can get our attention, and we can have a discussion there. We also have a discussion going on Facebook. We're in this Facebook group, Bitcoins in Bali. This is not to be confused with the community group of the same name. This is a public group, and we have kind of a crowdsourced news feed here. Put your news in the news feed, and we'll discuss it online. And if it gets a lot of play, we'll talk about it when we get together in person. So please submit your news stories there so we can keep on top of things together. Well, where are we? We are in the beautiful jungles of Bali in downtown Ubud, right across the street from the monkey forest at Hubud. Hubud.org. These guys give us a cool, comfortable meeting space every week for the last 81 episodes. And it looks like they're going to give us number 82 today. They deserve to be thanked. They take very good care of us. They give us this space for free. And we promise to not, abuse it, leave our trash behind, et cetera, et cetera. These guys do cool things. I just wanted to share a few things with you. They've got a moving package. We're always talking about building the Bitcoin economy here in Ubud. And Hubud has like a move to Bali package where they'll help people find a place to stay, get a scooter, orient them to the neighborhood, even a SIM card for their phone, and unlimited membership at Hubud. That's a good one. Free entry on Tuesday nights to the filter, by the way. So anyway, check that out. If you're listening online and you're going to come visit us, check out this Ubud.org soft landing package. They do a great job with everything. Also, coming up in June, they've got the Startup Weekend Bali. It's already Startup Weekend time, and mark your calendars for June 24 through 26. I always throw down the gauntlet and say we need a Bitcoin project or two or three. Hopefully we will see that. We had one in the last Startup Weekend that ended up making it to the end. But anyway, if you've got a business idea, if you've got a tech idea and you want to get it off the ground and possibly get funding for your idea, check out Startup Weekend. Happens here in Bali in Ubud, June 24th through 26th. Okay, local celebrities. We've got so much local celebrity coverage here this week. I didn't know if we would get to it all. Our own Lucia, who maybe you guys have seen her around Hubud, she's been here for quite a while, has started writing for Tech in Asia. And of course, we've had many conversations with her about fintech and the fintech scene. She's been splitting her time between Bali and Singapore, and has written this really nice long-form piece on the state of fintech in this part of the world. So check out Lucia's writing there. Put that in the show notes. CNN Indonesia was here this week. Was it this week or last week?
This week.
Yes, very recently. They came to the Viceroy, which is one of our Bitcoin merchants, to talk to the owners there. And what you see there is Stephen DeMillionaire being interviewed by CNN Indonesia, answering questions about being a business owner that takes Bitcoin, as well as part of the community here. So that was really cool. Also, I had an interview with Griff Green. Griff Green was our own, he was here a year and a half ago in 2014 and is now the community organizer for the Slockit project and very intimately involved with Ethereum and the DAO. I had a nice hour-long conversation with him. He was on fire. He's been doing back-to-back interviews like this during the entire period where the DAO was raising money. He's been doing a pretty good job. The DAO looks like it will be the largest crowdfunding project in history. They've already raised over $110 million. 120. Oh, all right. Stand corrected. How much of it does he get? Does he get like, what, 10%? You know, maybe 10 million, 12 million for Griff? We'll have to call him up. Drinks are on Griff. Other local news. This weekend, we've got Bitcoin 101. Bitcoin 101. We've been doing this for 2 years now, trying to build a resource base of people that are walking around with Bitcoin on their phone so that the economy can get a jump start, right? And every month we do this and we get, you know, maybe 10 or 15 new Bitcoin users. And the next one is May 21st. We've only got 7 spots left. This class will fill up, so send us your friends, send us your relatives. Let's get more people on board, and don't forget to register. Let us know that you're coming. That's right in this room this Saturday at 10 a.m.
Gary, do you have a Facebook event? I didn't notice.
You know, I'll take a look at that. Hubud made one, and I did share it, but it doesn't show up on our. All right.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not showing.
Okay. Speaking of the Bitcoin economy in Ubud, we've been trying to sign up merchants for the last 2 years, and we've been trying to get people involved with our Bitcoin 101 class to walk around spending Bitcoin. And this is, it's not a comprehensive graph. I'm sure that there are Bitcoin addresses outside of the sample that I used, but this is a graph of Bitcoin total spend over time.
Wow.
Right? So way back in 2014, we didn't have much at all. And over time, we are now approaching 100 Bitcoins in total Bitcoin spend since we began, which means that about a total value of over $43,000 has been spent in Bitcoin in Ubud.
Is this capturing it wouldn't be capturing payments for Pulsar and
No,
electricity.
nope, this is not
Oh,
capturing
that's-
payments for Pulsa. It's not capturing the Bitcoin ATM.
So it's just like the venues that are accepting.
Yeah, these are just the venues that I know of that are accepting Bitcoin. And so really we can just use it as a trend, kind of putting our finger on the pulse.
Right?
It goes up when we get Bitcoin 101 attendees. It goes up when we have more merchants involved. And I know lots of people in this room are walking around looking for opportunities to spend Bitcoin on a basis. So I thought it'd be cool to put the numbers together and show you it's working. I think this is really exciting, especially given that I've been to other parts in the world and where they haven't had the focused effort that we've had here. I don't think this is what's possible. Hopefully other municipalities, other communities will be inspired by this and maybe they can make this happen in their own area. I know I met some people in South Africa that were interested in doing something similar. So.
Did you say 43,000 USD?
Over 43,000 USD has been spent
Wow.
in the last 2 years.
Interesting to see the correlation of your holidays. I have a feeling
Yeah, how
that
much of that is
like
various
that.
month on
Is
Bitcoin,
you
right?
back in the States.
And when did the filter begin?
The filter began, I think the meetings began in like May, June, July of 2014.
So, okay, so
So,
Back
yeah,
in the beginning.
it's really kind of a 6-month ramp to get really going here.
yeah,
If you see where the bump is, it's right at the beginning of 2015.
yeah. Yeah, so hopefully, this will look like nothing in comparison. A couple of years from now, we'll dwarf this figure. I think we can do that, but we just have to be consistent. I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, it will grow.
Yes, and everyone saw Stephen's announcement, right, about organic delivery
Yes,
via Bitcoin.
I haven't used that yet. Has anybody used that service? The organic as a grocery delivery?
Direct? Oh,
Yeah, Ubud Direct. But I'm also working on Island Organics, Bali.com, which I think is better, actually, better vegetables.
Really?
And guaranteed organic.
Wow.
Ubud Direct, if they don't have organic, they will buy from the local markets, which is not guaranteed organic.
Well,
And
all
I'm
right.
just really impressed with Island Organics.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we didn't used to have is the ability to buy food with Bitcoin. So problem solved, thanks to
Yes.
Stephen.
Wow.
Awesome. That is so cool. I love it. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, we haven't
petrol.
saw.
Businesses here that
Petrol
want to
would be
accept
great.
Bitcoin. They do. They just need someone to go talk directly to the owner.
Yes.
Wow.
Well,
I'm signed up on BitFire.
one of the things, the next slide I'm going to show you is this get involved thing that I've been talking about last few weeks. And I'd like to work and maybe collaborate with some people on a roadmap or making it easy to, so they can crowdsource this thing so that there's no bottleneck around individual people. If someone has a particular business that they'd really like to spend Bitcoin there, but they don't accept yet, we want to empower them, give them all the information they need in order to set that merchant up. So I'm working on that. If any of you guys are interested in maybe helping create that roadmap, it'd be, I think it'd be a fun project. And it'd be something that, the more new people that show up here, the more we can just kind of hand them something or direct them to some sort of process. We can get many, many more merchants.
We need some more locals here. Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, I did talk with bitcoin.co.id because they
Yes.
were at the CNN interview. And it looks like we may have some potential teachers for the next Bitcoin 101 in Indonesian. Right? So fingers crossed. I think one of them is going to sit in on the one on Saturday, and then maybe we can get another one. By the way, if anyone here is interested in teaching Bitcoin 101, we could also do more of those classes. When I did the month-long Bitcoin month in 2015, I did a Bitcoin 101 every Saturday, and with enough promotion, there's like 8, 10, 12 people in every class. We could be doing more. Just a people bottleneck. So if you're interested in teaching, if you like to teach, if you like people, it's really fun. I must say it's fun to watch people get it for the first time and get excited when they get their first Bitcoin on their phone. I'd be happy to teach anybody here how to do that, and we could definitely find a space for you to deliver, and et cetera, et cetera. So take a look at this Get Involved website, and obviously come find me, and we can talk about those projects.
Carrie, can we also add the Bitcoins in Bali Lab on the Facebook group as well,
Yes.
so that we talk more specifically about Bitcoin promotion?
Sure.
Facebook's an easy medium for, in addition to
Yes, good
research
idea.
as well too. But there's the lab that anyone can, it's a
Yes.
private group, but anyone can
Right.
apply to join.
Okay. Yes. Good point. All right. So we're in Indonesia. Let's look at the Indonesian price first. One Bitcoin is over 6 million rupiah.
Wow.
That's a lot of rupiah.
It is.
If you have one Bitcoin, you're a millionaire in Indonesia. And by the way, Bitcoin.co.id is the largest exchange in Indonesia, and sometimes they break the top 10 in the world in terms of Bitcoin exchange tier. And I often find that it's a good place to buy Bitcoin. Sometimes you can get Bitcoin on this exchange for less than you might see on other international markets. So if you haven't already got an account with them, at least check them out. I've got a few brochures here.
Yes, yes.
Feel free to take some of these if you're interested in bitcoin.co.id. They've been a really good, they've been a great partner to us the entire time. So, question?
If we put money in the, rupiah in the ATM here
Mhm.
and converts to Bitcoin, is
Yes.
it using the same exchange that?
It is. It's
Bitcoin
using the
ID is?
bitcoin.co.id.
There's no extra. Cool.
But
Yeah.
there's a fee on the ATM here,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yes, if you create your own account, you can save a little bit of money, but it's a little bit more of a
Yeah,
rigmarole.
I've been caught in that.
So you go in physically and you can change your rupiah to Bitcoin and Bitcoin to rupiah, correct?
Yes, we've got the Bitcoin storefront. So you've got the online bitcoin.co.id. You've got the storefront, the brand new storefront on Jalan Sukma, number 9. And
Jalan who?
it's near Jazz Cafe, near Hotel
Wow.
Sens. And you can walk in there. I've been sending all of my Indonesian friends that are a little bit confused about Bitcoin, I've been sending them there, especially if there's a language barrier, and let them explain it. And they can go Bitcoin to rupiah, rupiah to Bitcoin right there in the shop.
Do you know
So
if there's any maximums, any limits?
there probably is if you just walk in, but I'm told that if you tell them you need something by the end of the week or something, they can get what you need.
How about
so-
if you already have an
$100,
account?
just that.
Yes, so we've got yeah, we've got a representative right here.
Oh, yay.
Tell us, how does it work?
The limit is, we have a limit because our store is new for this branch.
Mhm.
So the limit is about 30 million. So thanks for about 30 million a day. And the next day, maybe next weekend, get another millions from our
Okay.
main branch.
Good.
Wow.
So we could pay our landlord in Bitcoin, and then they could go to Jalan Sukma and get the cash, and we wouldn't have to ride around with a suitcase full of pink rupiah notes. I like that idea.
Reduces everything when you pay for a year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. A woman was killed for that once, having cash on that. That's when
Oh.
she was killed. She came back with her payments for a year or 6 months.
And somebody
and
knew about it?
Yeah, somebody had followed her from the ATM, dropped a brick on her head and killed her. And did
Yeah.
other things after that, but
I'm against
not nice.
killing people for money.
it's not nice carrying that amount of
Always
cash.
looking for solutions.
Yeah,
Yes.
fabulous.
All right. That's it's not good.
Sorry to bring that energy here, but Bitcoin's a good idea. That's what
Yes.
I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Most people are used to thinking about Bitcoin in the U.S. price. So right now, the global average is $458.69.
Up from
Over the-
220,
Up from
up from low 200s last year at this time.
yeah. Well, let's see. Here's the 2-year chart. Let's look at that. Yeah, we were way down here in the 240s,
Yes. 220, 240 last year.
and now we're coming out of the doldrums.
Big time.
But you know what's interesting? Here's the week view. This is the Bitcoin time machine for the last week, and look at this. This looks like this looks very stable.
Stability.
This is the kind of stability that we usually see in much larger currencies, and this is good news for people who are trying to do business with Bitcoin. We're approaching all-time lows in terms of Bitcoin volatility. In fact, if you graph Bitcoin volatility over time, it's definitely going down. So it's becoming more and more stable in terms of value over time.
Except July.
Well, we got an event coming in July. We don't know what that will do to the price. I don't mind volatility if it's volatility going up.
Yeah, but
What's wrong
it's
with,
still
like-
volatility.
Yeah. Okay. I won't complain too much if the price doubles or triples in July. I'd be
What
fine.
are the theories of July? What are the hypotheses?
God, if I knew what July
Well,
was.
you can look at it without the animal spirits, or you can look at it with the animal spirits. It's up to you, man.
Let's do the animal
If
spirits.
well, let's start without the animal spirits. I mean, you've got half the inflation rate. If the demand stays the same, then you would need to double the price. But it's not as simple as that. In fact, I posted a story, I think last week, that I didn't get to, that talked about how, only a very small number of Bitcoin actually circulate. So the inflation rate is actually much different than you would if you counted the entire population of all Bitcoins. And so anyway, it should have a greater effect on the price, was the upshot of the article. But we don't know. I mean, there's lots of factors. We still have the block size debate happening. People are not sure if there is a technical problem. Right.
There was a historical precedent last time.
Yes, this has already happened once, and people didn't know if the technology would survive the halving, and so there was not a price rise in anticipation of that. The price rise happened after the fact, like quite precipitously. In fact, the spring of 2013 is when we saw all of the crazy price activity, and that was just after the last halving. So presumably it will happen technically without a hitch, but we don't know what's going to happen with the markets. It could be that this last bump, or this push north since last summer from 200 something to 400 something, is reflective of that halving coming. But we shall see. Stick around. I've been proposing we have a party on halving day, but I got some like people were thinking that I was nerdy for having that idea. So now, I mean,
Don't be ashamed of
I don't
that
want to be
kind of-
known as a nerdy person. I
It's
mean,
okay to be a nerd.
I don't want
Own it,
people
own
going
it.
around saying that I'm like
We'll all join you.
throwing nerdy parties. So
Yeah, but
Why that flag?
they also say if the price doesn't rise, the miners will stop mining.
if the price, well, yes.
Yes,
Well,
as they should.
Bitcoin is supposed to be able to accommodate such things, but the difficulty is only recalculated every 2 weeks. So if the first week goes by and the price doesn't change, and 3/4 of the miners bail out, then we might not be recalculating the difficulty for an inordinate amount of time, an unknown amount of time. Could throw a wrench in the works. That's why it's going to be so fun when we have that party. Like, either it'll be good or it'll be bad, and either way we can throw a party, right?
So it's just like AI.
What's
Yes.
our date? What's our party day?
I don't know yet.
But it's in
And
July.
actually,
Some July.
yeah. Stay tuned for that one. That one's up in the air. All right. Did you guys see this? Usually I show you
Yes,
this nerdy
yes.
thing, but did you see that Google is now serving up Bitcoin statistics when you type in, they do this for like certain things. Like you can say, when's this movie playing, or what's the how many feet are in a pound, or can you do that? No, that's not a good example.
Hey, Gary.
I wonder what Google would say to that question. But now you can say Bitcoin block reward, and it gives you some actual figures, right? It kind of answers the question. So Google is Bitcoin aware. Yes.
Can
Google
you
is
say how
Bitcoin
many
aware.
how many rupiah or USD in Bitcoin? Like you can
I asked it. I
currencies?
asked it how many Bitcoins does Kamaya have, and it told me. You should try that. Yeah, it's really smart, Google.
Wasn't
But
it?
has
It
an
knows
answer
everything
for
about
But I
us.
got more DAO.
She
I got more DAO than Bitcoin.
Ooh, we better set the spiders off on you now.
Yeah.
Going to be reevaluated.
Could be in trouble.
Anyway, that's pretty cool. We've also got the Bitcoin clock. You see, this is the hour hand. It only strikes midnight every 4 years. Here's the estimated time of our party right here, guys.
Okay.
7:20 UTC on July 10th. We've got
Less than 8 weeks, 7 weeks.
7 weeks, 5 days, 15 hours, and 10 minutes. Do you have like a countdown? Do you have is it like New Year's where you like pop a
Why
cork?
not? I think
Is that what
so.
we should do?
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm open to ideas.
Bitcoin
crypto miracle.
Yeah, well, this is kind of
Cocktails or something.
that is kind of countdown.
All right, I like to throw up these graphs at the risk of seeming nerdy to look at how many Bitcoin nodes there are and what are they running, because I'm interested in these top two numbers here, Satoshi Client 12 and 12.1, where they have implemented replace by fee. Do you remember we were talking about replace by fee? This is a new, quote, feature in the latest release of Bitcoin Core, where you can actually cancel or supplant an existing Bitcoin transaction before the first validation on the blockchain. So I likened it to if you went up to a vending machine and you had your like little quarter on a string. Hello, hello, welcome. And you put the quarter in, got your bag of chips, and then pulled the quarter out again after you left. This is what replace by fee does. And now over 40% of the network will enforce this functionality. So, well, the logic behind it is that if you submit a transaction and the fee is not high enough, you should be able to submit another transaction with a higher fee so that you can get the transaction addressed by the miners, right? Because right now we're establishing a market for fees, and if you submit something that has a fee too low, it could be ignored for 10 blocks.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what somebody is saying. They want to be able to try and get an existing transaction into the blockchain if the fee wasn't high enough the first time around. But what it gives you the ability to do is to reverse a transaction, and this is where the public service announcement comes in. iPayU wallet launches wallet with ability to cancel transactions, right? So, yes, this if you're transacting with somebody, you need to be aware that they could send you Bitcoin, walk away with your, I don't know, whatever you're selling for Bitcoin, your iMac or your meal or whatever, and then when they walk away with the goods, they could then submit a new transaction that pays them back the Bitcoin that they paid you.
Up to how much time?
Well, up until the first validation, so about 10 minutes. So watch out. It's called, what is it called? iPayU. Doesn't this guy look like a nice guy? He's like, yeah, we're gonna steal your Bitcoin.
I don't.
I highlighted this. It is important to note that a transaction sent from iPayU wallet can only be canceled if it has not been confirmed. Bitcoin sent to another iPayU user through email can be canceled until the other user logs in. So this is the other thing they're doing. They're doing basically, possibly doing fractional reserve with your Bitcoin, and you certainly don't have control of your own Bitcoin keys if you use this wallet. So beware. I don't think anyone's.
Sounds like negative interest again.
Yeah, well, it's just something to be aware of. Just something to be aware of.
So what's the advantage of using this wallet?
Free cakes at Kismet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stealing.
Coffee at Cinnamon. Free night at the Viceroy.
No, but I mean, they've got to have a business case for this. What's their business case?
Well, their unique selling feature is a new Bitcoin wallet has been designed keeping in mind the user's need for simplicity and practicality. So they're obviously much simpler, much more practical.
Easy to
So
steal.
you should run right out there and get there.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So really, no reason.
It's well, they have this new feature, this new transaction
Former
canceling.
Amazon executive. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to linger on this too long. Just something to be aware of. Here's our Bitcoin transactions. You can see that transactions are just about as high as ever, but not as high as they have been. We kind of hit kind of a flat area here. Anybody had any problems with transactions? Transactions?
Zero.
Blair, you just seem to like.
Talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah. Always having problems with them, huh?
I've never had any problem with them.
Oh, transactions.
I've had a delay. I remember that when they were doing these original stress tests, I had some problems with them, but I haven't had any problems lately.
The thing is, they're really responsive if you email them also. Like,
Yeah,
Last one took 12 hours.
12 hours just to clear. And that was with,
Cleve,
my Airbits,
Mm-hmm.
but then to come through for them to process. So I don't know what's going on there. So they were down all day Sunday fixing stuff. So.
Does sending Bitcoin to Ethereum wallet count as a transaction?
Yeah.
Because I bought Ether that took over 4 hours, so I couldn't get in under the time frame.
Yeah, but that would be delays with the Ethereum network.
Yeah. Load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna show some graphs on that in a sec.
All right.
All right, we had some. Oh,
Oh,
what did I just do?
there's a nice desktop.
There we go. This generated some real good discussion on the Facebook group. I don't know if you saw this. Very high quality analysis of this article talking about the fee marketplace. So as transaction volume goes up and up and up, and there becomes competition in order to get transactions into each additional block, the fees are going up and up and up. And it's saying here that the fees are the highest we've seen. And sometimes they're as high as 35 cents average if you want instant confirmations from the miners that are out there. So these things are becoming more and more expensive. As the fees go up, it negates more and more use cases. For example, if you were going to pay 10,000 employees and you had to pay 35 cents in order to pay each of them, you're concerned with the amount of the fees. And if they've gone up exponentially, as we've seen, because they used to be as low as 2 or 3 cents when I first got started. Well, you can see that this is happening now. According to Andreas, the person that was on the group, kind of doing the analysis, this is like really bad news for Bitcoin, especially with Ethereum coming along and giving it competition. It could be he called it the MySpace moment for Bitcoin. Pretty catchy epitaph there for Bitcoin, possibly. And yes, well, rumors of Bitcoin's demise, yada, yada, yada. We've seen it before. But I do think that it's something to take a look at. I think when I first commented on this, I said, we've got the, nobody, or don't go to that restaurant, or what was the restaurant analogy? That restaurant's
No one ever goes there, it's too crowded.
Oh yeah, no one ever goes to that restaurant, it's too crowded, right? And that was the kind of analogy, like Bitcoin is succeeding, that's why we're having all these problems, so don't worry about it, it's because there's so many people using Bitcoin. But he makes the point that we need to reach this critical mass, and we could be experiencing delays and problems with using Bitcoin that could drive people away in a way that where they just kind of dwindle and fade away, and Bitcoin becomes supplanted. And the restaurant analogy is really not apropos. I like to make the analogy to this. This is traffic in downtown Ubud, which is making me not want to be here in July and August. I love Ubud, but I might decide to not be here during the peak season because you cannot get anywhere. And I really like breathing oxygen as opposed to diesel fumes. And this was just taken the other day, right in front of, right at the main intersection. Anyway, if people might leave Bitcoin if it's too crowded, and people might leave Ubud if it's too crowded. I think this is a better analogy than the restaurant.
So we need more moving to Ubud packages, don't we? In this
we do. Yes,
more
we need the soft landing package from Hubud.
Yeah, great.
They also provide a hovercraft. You can go right over all the traffic. That's part of the package. Maybe that was down the list.
And it sucks up the exhaust.
It does. It cleans the air and sucks up all the exhaust, and also delivers organic groceries. So, for Bitcoin. So don't leave Ubud just yet. Okay. So, Satoshi update. Did any of you guys read this?
Yes.
I actually had to pin this post because I was so intrigued by this cloak and dagger novel amazingness going on with Bitcoin, where this guy, he's one of the early crypto guys. I think this is the, what's his name? Joseph Van Perling. Of course he's got to wear a suit with like an Indiana Jones hat because like everyone's got to be a little bit weird, with a ponytail or I don't know what, but Yeah, I think he even has a
I think
ponytail back
so.
then. Yeah, he's got the twofer. He's got the Indiana Jones hat and the. So anyway, this is one of the people early Bitcoin days that has a lot of respect in the community, and this is one of the guys that's saying, yes, Craig Wright is a credible Satoshi possibility, but he speaks very cryptically, and he's speaking to this journalist, and the journalist was so whacked out by this interview that he didn't even bother writing a story. He just posted the transcript because it's just too weird. And he, in the middle of the interview, he says, I have a message for Dr. Wright from the trustee of the Tulip Trust that is controlling the coins that he wants to move. This is not yet announced. And anyway, we don't really have time to go into all the details, but suffice it to say that this is very weird. He's using a public forum to send a cryptic message to this guy that used cryptography to invent money, maybe. There's one more thing to note. Again, I encourage you to take a look, enjoy the weirdness, because it's like you have to read the whole thing. But he also says that this Tulip trustee, this Tulip Trading Trust trustee is going to show up at a conference in Vegas in September, and it's a woman. So how's that for strangeness? Anyway, if anybody wants to join me in Vegas in September, I've got a charter flight all prepared, so just let me know. We'll get a group discount. Yes, we want to go meet Mrs. Satoshi. How great would it be if Satoshi Nakamoto was a woman? You know, with all the problems we've been having trying to get women involved on Tuesday night, man, we'd have to go to a different venue.
I'd say we're here in force.
Yes, we do have.
But something in that though actually makes sense around that all the Genesis block tokens are actually in a trust, and you know, maybe the people that got together that are Satoshi.
Yeah, if it was a group of people,
and it's not released until it's critical mass or something, and then they can split the value and not like degrade the network or whatnot. So maybe that is a reason in itself why whoever is Satoshi can't move one of those Genesis things, because it is under a trust, locked in.
Right, there's some sort of legal construct that disallows them.
Makes a lot of sense.
That makes
But
that
anyone
aspect
who was
makes
part
sense.
of that grouping, like Craig Wright, would
up.
know that. And so why is he telling the Australian Tax Office that he's Satoshi Nakamoto? Why is he doing interviews with the BBC? Why?
And GQ.
Hmm?
And GQ.
And GQ.
Yes, and GQ.
I was more saying
Yes.
the other element of it about that the bitcoins from that Genesis block might actually be out of the control of anyone
Right. Exactly.
until the trust vests
Yeah.
on some predetermined, critical mass.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is that Craig Wright would know that.
But he said the whole way that you look at the interview, he said that he didn't want to be coming out. So maybe there's some external pressure on that he loses something if he doesn't claim it because someone else was getting pressure put on him by,
Like
who knows?
gangsters in the house.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe not gangsters,
Well-
but maybe someone else that could have a massive tax liability if their shares were revealed, or who knows. More the trust element that I found interesting.
Well, one of the things that this guy Van Peerling says is that this guy Craig Wright is acting totally normal given what he's trying to do, and that he's acting in a very, very intelligent way, rational, logical way with what he's doing and what he has done thus far. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Very much
And
trust.
the level of
Trust.
weird is off the scale.
Yeah.
The level of weird is
So it's the level of
He
weird
says
in
no
his photo.
different.
Yes.
True too.
Are you going to trust this
The
guy?
level of weird was already like going north right here.
Oh, come on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the whole
We're
thing
not being very
is
nice.
written
You're right.
by William
A lot
Gibson.
of people do that kind of quirky stuff.
All right.
It's normal.
Moving along. Okay, we were talking about Venezuela last week, and this is just a quick update. Venezuela reaches better oil loans deal with China. We've talked about China quite a bit on these Tuesday nights. Remember the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, where they're looking to make loans, looking to do IMF-style bailouts, or insinuating themselves into other countries' politics, making the people of those countries on the hook for the deals that their politicians make. Well, this is China taking a page out of the USA playbook and coming to the rescue for Venezuela. You think they'll use dollars to pay for that oil that they're going to get from Venezuela? By the way, Venezuela has the largest oil deposit behind Saudi Arabia. That I did not know. Imagine a country with all that wealth and no toilet paper. It's kind of a weird situation in Venezuela, and it's, well, yeah, it's something to keep your eye on. You know, this is China looking for elbow room with the United States. You know, we've talked about their military entanglements in the South China Sea, where China's making those islands, and you know the USA is like sailing their aircraft carriers nearby, and it's like, oh, what World War III? What's going to happen? Well, this is also a part of that, you know, currency war and development bank war, so to speak, where they're looking for influence around the world, right? And you know, stay tuned because it's going to get more and more interesting. Hopefully, it won't get violent, but it is competitive to say the least. All right, I also posted this. This got a lot of interesting action on the group as well. At least according to me, there's a, you know, I went when Mel mentioned the Planet Money podcast. I went back and gave this one a listen. Basically, this is a bank without interest talking about the Islamic law around usury and interest, right? And basically, how do banks work when they cannot charge interest? And it's really fascinating. They kind of dance around it. They kind of get around it in certain ways that have become acceptable to the clergy. But I posed the question in the group: isn't the money that we use, isn't usury built into the money that we use? And couldn't you make a case, if you were a devout Muslim, that using money, using fiat money, is supporting a usury system? And if that's the case, then couldn't we use 1.2 billion more Bitcoin users? Because Bitcoin does not depend on a loan in order to come into existence. It doesn't depend on interest. It doesn't depend on basically the loan mechanism to be made. So I was hoping to get someone with a Islamic background to comment, and I fear that we just do not have very many people that. Well, it's also maybe a touchy subject. So.
We might.
But actually,
Yeah,
Islamic.
Yeah, could ask them.
That's right.
Yeah. Anybody have any any comments on the Muslim law or interest? No.
There's a lot
Is it
in
a little
the financing world
You
of
see?
Islamic loans that are specifically made, and I do know that a lot of the projects have to include philanthropy
Mm-hmm.
in order to kind of offset this built-in usury.
You mean there are nice Muslims? You sure about
I mean
that?
the whole banking thing. It's like you have
Just
to
saying
do
there are
charity.
nice bankers.
Ah, there's nice
You
bankers
have to
too.
do charity if you're also making interest to offset the interest because you can't make the interest, so
Uh-huh.
it
It's a
gets
joke.
routed over.
Mhm.
And they're very complex structures. I've seen those. They're also like
Well, the
shady.
the other thing that's good about these loans that Muslims are suggesting is they cannot be resold. These things are set up in such a way that they cannot be packaged up and resold into these tranches of securities that Wall Street has been.
Which were so ethical on Wall Street.
Yes. So I think we should take a page out of the book.
I think our Bitcoin ID person you nodded your head when we said, did anyone have an idea?
Oh, do you have?
And he was being sarcastic. It was Luchu, that joke about
Oh,
good
yes,
Muslim. You did,
about
you know,
Muslims being
just to
nice.
make
Yes, I
clear
know.
about that.
I know Muslims are nice.
But do you have a comment from
Uh,
Bitcoin ID kind of
I don't
perspective?
really understand what the rules actually from the usury or it's
Here's a.
yeah,
There-
that interest.
Uh-huh.
And that it's not good that people take interest. I don't really actually know about the detail.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you'd probably need a religious scholar to make a judgment about fiat currency, the point that I was making. But I'd be interested to talk with one just to see what they might say. Because it seems to me that that the whole system itself depends on interest-based loans. So anyway, interesting stuff. There's also I won't go into this, but there was a cool video that I found on the minimum wage debate, and this guy's going around making the point that the minimum wage in 1964 was $1.25. They're having this debate in the United States, and that was the same year that they took the silver out of the dimes and the quarters. And he further made the point that if you had 5 quarters from 1964, the silver in those quarters would be worth $17. So we could have kept the minimum wage at $1.25, no inflation, and we wouldn't be having to have a minimum wage debate because people would already be making the equivalent of $17 an hour.
Wow.
Think about it. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on this, but we've been talking about minimum wage, so I wanted to sneak it in there for you to take a look at and do your own research later.
What is it now? What's the minimum wage now?
I don't know what the federal minimum wage is, and I know it's different per state and sometimes per county. But it's nowhere near $15 an hour.
Yeah.
It's like it's
and what it's worth is probably worth $1.25.
What will it buy you?
That's what I try. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Now we're starting to get into this interesting bit. Did you guys see this? This was a fascinating post. Do you realize the significance of yesterday, May 16th day? This guy, who's this guy again? President Obama signed into law with this Jobs Act Title number 3, the ability to do crowdfunding under $1 million with less regulation. I thought we needed more regulation. Don't we need more regulation in the banking industry? What's all this about? What's all this about lower regulation? Well, turns out that if you want to raise money for your little enterprise, if you want to take your company public, Wall Street will charge you about $3.7 million to IPO your company, right? And I think I don't know where I saw it. Oh, here we go. Only 5% of all businesses generate over $1 million in annual sales. So 95% of the businesses out there cannot fund their enterprise with friends and family style crowdfunding loans. And that's what this is designed to fix. There's about 700 pages in this. I didn't get through enough to give you a comprehensive report. I didn't read all 17 or 700 pages, but somebody will. And if you have that little business that's making less than $1 million a year, you'll probably have to read that 700 pages. Or perhaps there's a better way. Perhaps there's a better way than looking to governments to regulate with pages and pages of regulation things like crowdfunding, right? And that's really what we're here to talk about. This is a really great article, by the way. It's very good, and it would be the only thing we have if there wasn't cryptocurrency and Ethereum and the Dao. That's what we're here to talk about. We've got about 10 minutes left. Talk about the Dao. We're going to jam it in there. The Dao of the Dao is the name of tonight's episode. I buried the lead. We've only got 10 minutes left, but we're going to make the most of it. What is the Dao? Dao. Well, the Dao, T-A-O, or Dao, is an ancient Chinese philosophy, right? Let's see. Explained as the way or the path or the route, or sometimes known as a principle laid down by heaven to assist mankind back onto the righteous path. What a great name for the Dao. Cosmologically, Dao signifies the primordial essence or fundamental nature of the universe. So we're going to try and map that onto the blockchain, right? And I actually think this is what they're trying to do. They are trying to create the rules for the financial universe with Bitcoin and blockchain technology, right? So what is the Dao? Here's your mainstream headline. This thing had already raised over $100 million before any mainstream media even touched it. And this was the first one that I saw. And as far as I know, there aren't any other articles. Wow. I'm sure there will be. The crowdfunding is not over yet. But this is pretty big news. This is especially given this May 16th thing that just happened. And you've got, you know, this DAO, the DAO, raising now over $120 million. Well, what is it? Leaderless, blockchain-based venture capital fund raises 100 million and counting. So it's an autonomous venture capital fund, if you can believe it. The DAO is it's crowdfunding, a venture capital enterprise that will take on projects based on the DAO tokens, which allow you to vote on what projects to fund. So our good friend Kamaya here has got a treasure trove of DAO tokens, and when the initial fundraising is over, the DAO, which again has no leaders, right? It's a pure democracy, will have, you can submit a proposal to the DAO. And with it, you have to submit a bounty, right? Basically, you have to give them some money along with your proposal. And if the proposal doesn't, I forget the threshold, if it doesn't get 20% of the total funds within the fund, then you forfeit your application fee. So this is designed to incentivize people to have a very, very good and compelling project proposal to submit, because you have to get people's attention. You have to get Kamaya's attention, because there's gonna come a time when she has her DAO tokens and she's gonna say, do I wanna back this project or do I wanna back this project? She is the venture capitalist, and the venture capital firm has no employees, no office space, no buildings, no
people's names on it.
No. It is just running
Doesn't say Drake.
out there in the ether, so to speak. Of course, it's backed by Ethereum. It's backed largely by the Ethereum founders, and some are calling it a test case for the Ethereum platform, right? Slockit, incidentally, the guy that I interviewed, Griff Green, about Slockit is one proposal that is going to be submitted to the DAO for possible funding. So this is how they will be able to build out all the infrastructure, build all of these smart locks, and send them out all over the world if they can get funding from the DAO, which is based on these voting tokens. Fascinating, right?
Yes.
Does that make sense to everybody? That's the first time I was worried I didn't understand what it was, and now that was my first chance trying to explain what it is. Any questions? Any comments on what it is or how it works? Or?
So to build on that, I think there's a comment on why is this the first article on
in the mainstream media.
I think the Slockit guys have an explanation in that they're saying if you're a journalist and you're writing about Ethereum and the DAO, you kind of don't really, most of them don't really understand what the hell that is. And when you have your job on the line, you sometimes just don't want to take the risk of writing something that
makes you look like an idiot.
Especially when it's in the beginning.
A lot of people don't.
Well, it is interesting. He gives it a shot here. He says, DAO is an acronym for a distributed autonomous organization, and until now they've been a mostly theoretical construct. Let's see, DAOs, of which the DAO is just one example, have bylaws just like a company, but rather than existing solely as legal documents, those bylaws are hard-coded into a blockchain, a cloud-based secure financial ledger, of which Bitcoin is the most famous example. I thought this was interesting because this is very threatening to the status quo, right? Remember Wall Street getting $3.7 million for every IPO in fees? Those are going to go away, or they're going to become a lot lower. I think this is I think this is being ignored by mainstream media because it's complicated. It's also being ignored by mainstream media because it's threatening. And when it's addressed by the mainstream media, they got to like give it the little Bitcoin kick in the balls along with their coverage.
Just to build on that point, but what if, I think someone posted an interesting stat on the Bitcoin Bali Facebook, that the top, I forgot which percentage of the funders there's only 50 people or organizations who funded the top 30% or so of the DAO. What if a significant percentage of those top funders are IBM, Microsoft, or big organizations? Because you normally don't have individual investors that have that much money to put in. 2% of a big number is a big number. What if it's a big tech company that's Google's the world, the Microsofts of the world, the Yahoo's of the world, that are becoming the biggest factors of the DAO?
Mm-hmm.
And how would that affect the decision
Mm-hmm.
going forward?
That's a good question. This really is money in politics, right? Because we're talking about, if we're talking about voting, we're talking about politics, even though it's when it comes to what gets funding, you're still talking about a political mechanism for making decisions. And is it IBM? Is it the Chinese government? Is it the Israelis? Who knows? And if they fund Slockit, does that mean like MI5 is going to be able to unlock my door when I'm not there?
Right.
I don't know.
That's a serious question. This is for
We-
real.
We need answers. No. Well, time will tell. We do not know.
So essentially, it's a complex smart contract.
Yes. The DAO itself is a complex smart contract.
Yeah, and they're
Indeed.
citing Bitcoin as an example also. It's like, these are apps, right? These
Right.
are-
Well, they're citing Bitcoin because Bitcoin is really the first headless thing out there that just works. Right? Doesn't have an owner. Just is out there in the wild, providing value, but with no real.
And fascinatingly, without jurisdiction. And this is a little weird as a venture fund. Like, in what jurisdiction does it?
It's
Well-
when they have a link between the real world. They call it link, the Ethereum link, I believe. And
Oh.
That's the legal vehicle for the contractors to do business with the DAO.
Right.
So
So
they
it's,
they remain in their own jurisdiction then.
Yeah.
And
right. You
interact
create
with
a
them.
corporation or an LLC, and that can be recognized by the DAO as an entity.
Bitcoin doesn't have any such restriction.
Yeah, I mean, it's borderless. But what's interesting? It's really the legal use case that this enables is really fascinating, because if you think about international law now, if you're in China and I'm in the United States, we drop our contracts, right? And if anything goes wrong, we only have legal recourse, and you have to pick the jurisdiction where you're going to pursue your ends. And this provides another layer where we could have a smart contract where much of it is automated, and we don't have to resort to the legal recourse until after all the code has run, right? So you
And
could
then
actually,
if you're a judge sitting on a bench trying to figure it out, if you've got something already pre-recorded, in a
Right.
blockchain, you're just
Per-
going to read that.
perhaps it can be, perhaps these things can be much more easily adjudicated. And if that's the case, they can be much more unambiguously arranged on the front end. So it should facilitate commerce and cooperation. But
So
And
Where is the
I see.
DAO link established?
It's Switzerland.
In Switzerland.
what Jim was saying, like if there, and I don't know fully what you were going on about, but if there is 30% that's taken up by 5 big players already, that's not democracy.
No.
Because democracy is everyone has a fair opportunity
Yes,
to participate in the vote. But if someone owns 30% of the vote before it even starts,
Yeah.
they can sway whichever way they want.
Well-
I think to your point, there's I think the whoever posted it was I think 50 players who own the top 30 or what's the percentage. To go on your point, I think what the DAO did to circumvent that is to have a group of curators who are the founders of the Ethereum Foundation. So if, let's say, the top X percentage of the token owners plus a certain percentage of the next level of token owners, hypothetically, in the worst case scenario, they stage a coup over 51% of all the tokens, you still have to have the approval of the curators in order for a proposal or something to take place.
so these are like
Those are
preferred
elected
shares.
Those can be elected. The curators can be elected. I think they're already in place right now, but they can be kicked out or re-elected. and you can totally split the DAO if you don't like it. And so people can split and then elect their own curators for the new DAO that they split into as well.
Wow.
Well, this is getting very esoteric, very complicated, and we don't know. I made the point on the message boards. There's an anthropological aspect to this problem. It's not all about technology. It's about how people interact with one another and how people wield power and how people make backroom deals or influence decision makers. You can bet your bottom dollar that the old political hobgoblins will make themselves known and have an effect. This is an attempt to remove that possibility, but there will have to be a lot of experimentation to see what's the right mix of machine and man to make these things work. And that's actually what's being laid out in this article that was posted by Stephen. I think this is really good. Critical analysis of the DAO and how complicated the problem is. This was written by a competitor from BitShares, Dan Larimer, who says that there are a lot of big problems to solve here before the DAO can be successful. And you were just talking about, maybe someone's got too much influence in voting, and he's talking about voter apathy. He said that there are, people who get involved thinking they're going to make money, and if money is their motivation, then they can make decisions that aren't necessarily in line with the goals of the project that's trying to be funded, right? So they might vote based on some perceived better return based on some decision they make, and the actual projects could be, there could either be voting that doesn't support the projects or no voting at all, right? And you don't even know, like the voting just doesn't take place. Yeah, well, and both of those, all those scenarios are problematic. So the incentives have to be right? So it's stay tuned. I mean, it's someone could make a whole career out of analyzing these things, and we're going to see it unfold. I'm going to begin to wrap things up, but I just wanted to bring your attention to this article from back in 2013, where Vitalik Buterin, the Ethereum founder, first postulated the idea of decentralized autonomous organizations. The Industrial Revolution allowed us for the first time to start replacing human labor with machines on a large scale. And now we have advanced digitized factories and robotic arms that produce complex goods like automobiles all on their own. But this is only automating the bottom, removing the need for rank and file manual laborers and replacing them with a smaller number of professionals to maintain the robots, while the management of the company remains untouched. The question is, can we approach the problem from the other direction? Even if we still need human beings to perform certain specialized tasks, can we remove the management from the equation instead? What an incredible idea this is. All of those huge salaries, 35 times, making 35 times more than your lowest paid employee, all that stuff. Can we automate those guys away? I don't know. And I'll leave you with this. This is a book by Daniel Suarez. Our old friend Manu told me about this book. This is total fiction, but see if it rings a bell. Here's the plot line. Technology controls almost everything in our modern day world, from remote entry on our cars to access to our homes, from the flight controls of our airplanes to the movements of the entire world economy. Thousands of autonomous computer programs, or daemons, make our networked world possible, running constantly in the background of our lives, trafficking email, transferring money, and monitoring power grids. For the most part, daemons are benign, but the same can't always be said for the people who design them. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. Thank you for coming tonight. Please look at the Facebook and help us all figure out all this stuff. We're in a new world that is very confusing, but together we can figure it out. Take a look at the Facebook. Also take a look at our YouTube channel. These meetings go right up on YouTube. You can take a look later, share them with your friends. Consider subscribing. The more subscribers we have, the more people we can reach. So take a look at that, and we will be right back here next Tuesday, 5 p.m. local time in Bali. And
this Saturday at Bitcoin 101.
Oh yes, this Saturday, Bitcoin 101. Send us your beginners. Nobody's too new. All right, guys, thanks for coming. Bye-bye.